My name is Simeon Papailias, and I'm the managing partner at the Real Estate Center.
We're coming up on our 50th episode of the podcast. So I just wanted to take you back to about a year ago today when Jas, your partner, first told you that we were doing a podcast. What were your thoughts at that time?
Jas, you're an idiot.
REC Experience presents Real Estate, Entrepreneurship, Leadership with your host, Jas Takhar. The REC Experience podcast is now on air.
And now, from the REC studios nowhere near Hollywood, California, it's the REC Experience 50th podcast special with your hosts Jas Takhar and Laura Crazy H. Stewart.
Look at this. Fancy.
Clem likes this.
50th podcast special, take one. And action.
Happy 50th episode to us. Hey,
God,
hey.
He's singing.
Thanks for being in the REC experience. And this is a very special episode to all of us. There is a huge team that puts these episodes together that are not in this shot right now, but I wanted to start off by thanking you, the viewers and the listeners, for supporting us and getting us to our 50th episode. Alto, big shout out to you. Big shout out to all the team members, Simeon, Clem, Alla, Steven, Tyler, Jelaine, and so many others. Thank you so much for, again, supporting us for the 50th episode. How do you feel?
50, it's crazy to think that here we are. This time a year ago, it was, just you and I in a boardroom, me trying to work my computer to record you saying some stuff about real estate.
I've said it all the time. You didn't even know what a podcast was.
I didn't really know what a podcast was. I remember hearing it occasionally, but I've never had listened to one. And you were like, you came to me one day and you said, I have this idea.
Yeah.
But I want to go back before you approached me with the idea.
Okay.
What was sort of your thinking behind why you wanted to do a podcast and your inspiration for it?
A lot of our viewers and listeners know that there was a third partner with us that passed away, and he was the guy like in front of the cameras and on stages. And so when he passed away, I knew that something new had to be done, something fresh, and something that like myself personally would be comfortable with. I really, I didn't know how much I was gonna like the cameras. Like I love it now. Like I have Clem here.
Knowing you now, I can't believe you ever thought that wasn't the case.
But the audio for me was quite easy, right? Because I spent, I'm going to say almost 22, 23 years on the phone in some aspect, like in sales and service. And so I knew that if I could do something from an audio perspective, I was going to be very comfortable at it. I thought I was going to be okay at it as well. And that's where, at the same time, funny how life works, I was listening to, for about 2 years before that, I started watching and listening a lot of Gary V's content. And if you guys don't know who that is or haven't come across his content, like go just search the guy. He's just
everywhere.
He's everywhere.
He's to find him fast.
He truly is brilliant.
Yeah.
So much so, like everyone knows, and that by now, viewers and listeners, that I wasn't I don't really have a formal education. It's all personal education. I really believe for those 2 years, almost like 3 years now, I kind of went to the Gary V University, where I consumed immense amount of his content.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that, because I remember when we first started and it was, what should the name be and how should we do it, how often? And it was kind of like, I remember you saying to me, Laura, let's not reinvent the wheel here. There are people who have done this.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are not those people, but let's just imitate exactly what it is that they've done and that's made them successful. And obviously, Gary Vee, I think The Wall kind of explains it. That has been a big integral part.
Definitely he inspired the the execution of the podcast, the wall, talking about like imitating. I've always believed like imitate, assimilate, and then go into innovate mode. And I think, in the next couple of episodes, definitely for season 4, as we wrap up season 3, I think we have a month and a half or 2 months left.
2 months left.
2 months left with season 3. Coming into season 4, the studio will have a different feel because now it's time to really REC it.
Make it ours a little bit more.
Make it ours.
So that brings me to the question: when the very first time we turned on the recorder, we scripted out some things a bit, like storyboarded it.
Yeah.
And then you just started with this hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey. Thanks for listening into the REC Experience podcast.
What is that all about? I never really asked you. I don't know where you got it from.
You know what? I think I used it originally as a crutch. To be honest with you,
You didn't know where to start.
I didn't know where to start.
And I actually think the third hey was accidental.
Yeah, it was.
I think you wanted to say hey, hey, and then we cut because we laughed so hard that you said it 3 times.
Yeah, okay.
And we redid it.
So I have no idea where it came from. Now that I think of it, like I've obviously heard Fat Albert say it.
Hey, 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 it's Fat Albert, and I'm gonna sing a song for you.
Like that's where he made it very popular back in the days. But yeah, I think I just used it as a crutch at the start, right? And for anybody who's watching and listening, I always say get started. And for me, it was literally just by saying hey, hey, hey.
That just got you in it.
Like it felt like, okay, now I'm supposed to start. I better say something after the hey, 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 hey. And
well,
so
now
that's
it's become your thing. Like people say it to you. Like we'll get text messages and messages on YouTube like that, or making fun of you.
We get reply backs on our comments on our videos, and there's one very special lady who replies back and says, "Hey, hey, hey," and then asks her question or makes mention of her comment. So shout out to her. You know who you are. And so I guess it's sticking and whatever.
So I want you to try and tell the listeners a little bit about some of the transformations the podcast has taken.
By the way, guys, this is like for you. So again, thank you again as the candle goes out. So
maybe
why don't you, Laura, you blow out the candle because you were such a integral part of everything that's happened.
Okay, so I'm going to make a wish, but I'm not going to tell the viewers.
Okay, go.
Okay.
What was your wish?
I can't tell.
Oh, okay.
We'll see when it comes
can
true.
all ask.
Then I'll tell you. Then I'll tell you when it comes true.
Is it about the 100th episode?
You'll never know.
Knock on
You'll
wood.
never know.
Knock on wood. We make it there with your guys' support. The 100th episode is that definitely in our sights.
We're looking towards that for sure.
Cut you off. So go.
So tell me a little bit about. We started Boardroom. There was no videotaping. What was the progression in your eyes? So
again, was really getting comfortable with the audio. If I remember correctly, Ryan Serhan's episode going to New York was the one that it was like, okay, we have to shoot video.
Yeah.
And props to Simos because he was telling us from the third, fourth episode, like, guys, you got to get this on camera.
Yeah, he was like he knew a lot more about cameras than you.
Yeah, he was like, you got to get this on camera. Don't worry. And I was like, oh man, I don't even care about all that setup. Like, I just want to continue with audio because it seems like it's easier, as well as I know we could be consistent with it. And so right around like Ryan Serhan's for $1 Million Listing, we knew we had to have him on camera. Good looking guy.
Yeah, we're going to go all the way to New York City and not have it on camera. That would have been absurd.
Hey guys, just got to New York City. How you feeling, Laura?
It's 6 a.m.
Tired.
Very tired.
Just got off a bus. Let you know the whole story about how we got here soon, later.
Right.
Plus the guy's used to camera.
I was about to say, it's not like he's going to have a problem with camera. And so that's when that started. And then I started to like Steven Rochester, who's part of the REC Media Squad. He did the first edit of that video. And I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, okay, like I've never seen something from like pre-production into post-production that it's hours. And so then it was, okay, from now on, we have to do
For
this.
every episode, we're doing something cool
every
like this.
episode, we're recording it. What we're able to do with video now
Mm-hmm.
is that's kind of the macro piece of content. So anyone who's listening, who's thinking about producing content, and this is, like, you can download the best Bible when it comes to this, which is the Gary Vee content model.
Yeah.
Just Google it, you'll find it. And we just imitated what he was doing.
And it wasn't difficult. Like, it's easy to do. It just takes consistency and a little bit of thought.
Yeah,
And,
hard work.
And I would say, like, don't make it difficult at the start. Like, here's the thing. You always call me Crazy 8, Stewart, because I do, or Alto, or whatever it is.
You wear
whatever
tons
the
of
name.
hats,
I wear
yeah.
tons of hats, but I think the irony behind that is that I shouldn't have been wearing any of those hats. Like, Stephen Rochester came on, and we realized, why would I be the person doing any edits to anything when I don't have any background? Like, he used to laugh, like, what are you doing over there? And I'd be like, oh, I'm correcting the audio to make it sound good. I've never used an application like that in my whole life. So, don't worry about making it perfect at the beginning, because we didn't, and it certainly didn't make sense that I was doing it, and then get better as you go. And then that's probably why I've
even
had
now
so many
it's not
hats, because now I
perfect.
just move on. I just move to something else.
But even now, it's not even perfect. Like,
Right,
we
of
run
course.
into issues. Well, like, we have no idea sometimes what we're going to be talking about. But I think that people like hearing it and seeing it because they know we're being authentic. We're being authentic with our guests. After a couple of minutes of the guests speaking, they become very authentic.
Yeah, much more comfortable. for
Much
sure.
more comfortable. And so trying to make any of this stuff really, really perfect, I feel bad for anybody who's going down that route, because you'll never hit perfection, period. Just using this, right? Ready, firing, and aiming.
Just
you can
getting started.
Get started. You'll figure out the target afterwards.
So, take us between season 1 and 2. Season 1 was predominantly real estate driven. Mm-hmm. What happened between season 1 and 2?
I love everything to do with real estate, meeting with buyers and meeting with sellers, meeting with investors, educating as many people as I possibly can from our client perspective. Also on the flip side of the business, with like actual realtors as well. I've been in this business for 15 years, so I have I'm blessed to be able to have a team of realtors, so I see what they're going through in their business as well as clients. But there's only so much that you can talk about when it comes to the process of buying, selling, or investing, or even from a realtor's perspective. So after we did 18, 19 episodes, it was like, we need to change it up a little bit, and something a little different, right? And as we sat down and whiteboarded what worked well, what things can we do differently.
Yeah, I think when you're producing your own show and you kind of get just ever so slightly tired of your own topic, it's time to change it up.
Yeah, just change it up.
Yeah.
You can revisit it, which we did. So going into season 2, that break that we took from, I think it was June of 2000.
It was all of July.
It was all of July, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of July, that whole month that we took off, and I think it was like maybe the 3rd week of July. I didn't come to the end of the break, which was like, hey, like, what else are we passionate about? Well, we're building a business. We're entrepreneurs. We're living the entrepreneur life.
Yeah.
And there's so many obstacles.
We get a lot of questions, or for sure you do, about how do you grow the team, and why did you decide to do that with your marketing efforts for a project or something that we're selling?
Yeah.
And so I think you kind of just realize, well, I should probably do this and give this information and education to the masses.
For sure. And then to add to that, Laura, what I noticed is that, well, I'm still learning so much. Like, I'm still listening to podcasts, watching videos, learning from other entrepreneurs, that why don't I sit down with some of these entrepreneurs and let everyone else just watch in on it. Like, you're just, the old saying, right? Oh, I wish I could be a fly on the wall.
Fly on the wall. Now they kind of are.
Now everyone is kind of a fly on the wall, right?
Awesome. Okay, so now let's fast forward to...
Did you like that switch, by the way? Sorry to cut you off.
I loved that switch.
Okay.
Yeah, that's changed everything, because... Not that I don't like talking about real estate. We just filmed a podcast that was exclusively about real estate, and it was super interesting. I think it just lends itself to providing information to people that aren't looking to buying and selling investing right now.
Yeah.
And we can connect with them as well.
Right, because if you're not really in the market, to buy, sell, or invest, then you're probably, like, it's not going to be something that you're going to click on or want to listen to. You might listen to 10 minutes of the podcast, the start of the podcast, and for whatever reason,
They're in the search of something.
something a little bit more. And for whatever reason, they don't take that leap of faith. They don't take the plunge. And so it might take them to hear it or see it, the 18th time. The first 17 is the same thing that people are saying, but it might be the 18th time that they were just ready to hear it.
Well, that's funny that you say that, because I think a lot
differently.
of the people that we've had on, the first time that you hear, some of the leaders and entrepreneurs speak, and you think, oh my God, you went through all those trials and tribulations, and this is what had to go on in your head for you to push past the pain, and I can't believe it. But then after we've interviewed so many now, you kind of realize like they all sort of sing the same tune.
Yeah.
Like
it's true.
there's life lessons that certain successful entrepreneurial people have, that are kind of unanimous across the board. Why do you throw around this ready, fire, aim?
It's not something I made up. It's from a fantastic book called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. That book has 64 success principles, and one that stuck with me really, really well and for a very long time was ready, fire, aim.
The third is probably the most important. It's the simplest, is do something.
Okay.
Do something. Take a chance. Just do something.
Because I think a lot of people wait for their moment to strike them, but it doesn't. It's not like lightning.
Doing something, and that's the entrepreneurial way. We just figure something out, we just do it, and we try it.
Just go. Fire, and then you'll figure out the target after, because then you'll get the feedback.
If he can do it, you can do it. Just go talk to him. Just ask him. Like, have you asked him, how do you close so many deals? Have you asked him how to do this?
I was relentlessly determined to start figuring out how is it that some people kind of have a lot. And I studied the 80-20 rule, right? The whole idea that, 20% of the population controls 80% of all the assets, and they do it with 20% of their time.
Don't let fear overconsume you. Listen to your stomach, bypass that fear, and go into action mode and see how you can make it work.
And in the process of getting in the game and being open to whatever's out there, you start to find the things you're passionate about.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you didn't enjoy it, it wouldn't come across.
I could do this all day long. All day long.
It doesn't pay as well as real estate.
Well, yeah, exactly. It definitely starts with taking the plunge, and no matter what, you're going to have other people's opinion in your head telling you either that you shouldn't be doing it, or you're not good at it, or money's doesn't grow on trees, and business is only for a certain amount of people. You're not a business person. Like, you hear a lot of stuff. Or on the flip side, you might hear like, oh my God, like you're so good, and you don't want to let that get to your head. I always like to reference Gretzky, right? Wayne Gretzky said that don't get too low on yourself when you lose, and when you win, don't get too high on yourself. Try to stay in that kind of even keel, because then you're always looking for more opportunities as well.
Oh, that's a good point. I like that.
Right?
Okay, so take us now to some of the staff we've had to bring on along the way.
I think
because it was a two-man show. I know we
Yes.
talk about them a lot, but
Yeah.
sort of what was the thinking behind it, and your strategy for finding people and finding the right spots and positions for everybody.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of take a step back. There's so many of our episodes that we talk about the attitude over skill and ready, fire, aim. This is not really a plug for you to go back and listen to them, but you'll get you'll just get so much more.
But you
right?
should go back
you
and
should.
listen to them.
So that's probably been the most rewarding, is the people that not only that we get to sit down as guests, but the guys and the girls that I get to now see every single day. It started off by necessity, in all honesty. There's only so much you can do.
I couldn't. I wasn't the right man for the job.
You weren't. You were definitely not the right man for the job.
Women for the job.
Yeah. Look, I think what you did for the first pretty much season, 17, 18, 20 episodes, was exactly what we needed at that time, because
We just
didn't
did it.
even know.
We got out there.
We got out there.
It was a test.
It was
test season.
It was consistent every single Wednesday.
Yes, it was.
Till this day, we've been consistent for 50 episodes. Every single Wednesday, we've come out with an episode. Now, to get things done faster, as well as just to get things done easier, because you were YouTubing how to edit a podcast episode
in between taking sales calls and.
Exactly.
do my actual
and
job.
your actual job as director of sales, right?
Yeah.
However, we were just putting in the extra hours, putting in the extra time. Simos helping with video. Simos is very busy.
Yes.
He has a huge role in what he really does, right? And so bringing on our first couple of interns at the start, to answer your question, like the strategy on how finding people, I think that I bring some passion to the table, and so I like to bring people on that are just getting out of school, for example, and if they can't find a job, I would love to be a place where they can come in and hone their craft, as well as at the same time be in an environment like ours that's busy, very entrepreneurial. We love to foster new creative ideas. And so we started off with a couple of interns, and that were just helping out doing editing.
We outsourced some things.
We outsourced the actual uploading and distribution of the podcast. Learned things because we started off on just SoundCloud.
Yeah.
We couldn't even get on iTunes.
I didn't know what SoundCloud was, but I had to figure out how to upload it.
We didn't even know how to
there.
get on iTunes. We didn't even know how to get on iTunes. It took like a month to get on
it did.
iTunes.
Yeah.
Right? Because every time we were like almost there, then we had clients calling us and we had to go do an event or something, right? Then I think the major hires that really came into play was Steven, who came in, and he's kind of like the jack of all trades, right?
He
Steven
is.
has a really awesome knack for design.
Good eye. He's a good eye.
A great eye, right? He makes me look real good, right?
He
if
does.
you haven't caught us
He
on
must do some photoshopping.
he actually does no photoshopping.
He trims it down a little.
So, like, I tell him words sometimes, and he'll like come up with these really cool looking images. But what he also knew was, guys, I can edit this podcast for you in like.
Why are you paying somebody else?
He's like, why are you outsourcing? I can do this right now. You're hired. I'm full time.
And we were like, oh, but how much time would it take? And we realized
5 minutes.
Not much at all.
5 minutes upload.
Yeah.
Gone.
So he became a full member of the team.
Yes. His strong suit is not necessarily holding the camera, but he can do some post-production. Like, he can do some really good post-production. But then we really needed someone to hold a camera, have the creative eye, and
as I'm looking at Clem.
As Clem, till this day, it's been one of my favorite people to have around, because Clem just brought a totally different outlook, not only from a creativity perspective, because there's a lot of people who are creative, right? In all honesty, videographers, graphic designers, editors, there's a dime a dozen. There's tons of them out there. But his attitude, that's second to none for me, because it was like, Jas, I can put in how many hours you need me to put in. What are you talking about? Like, I can do the video and I can post-produce. What's been really interesting with Clem is that he's come from a different eye, right? Because he's an editor, not a videographer.
So now he's looking at how he videotapes this from the
He's
point of
walking
what
around,
am I going to do?
He's coming from 6-7 different angles now,
Yeah.
because he's thinking, okay, this is how I'm going to post-produce it. What happened is when he started taking that off of Steven's desk, Steven got to worry about just, hey, I just got to do some, like, I got to come up with the best looking
and videos
images and designs.
Yeah.
Oh, Clem, let me look at the video that you made. Let me add some music to it. Or let me take the 30-minute podcast discussion that you edited, and I'll rip out 15 little pieces of video. Clem didn't have the time to do that. Then to see them, they literally sit next to each other, but one of my favorite times of the days is when they're talking to each other, trying to troubleshoot something. Hey, how should we maybe shoot this video?
Yeah, it's kind of funny when they're looking over each other's shoulders like, hey, you should try this, right?
It's a dream come true.
And that's why they always kick us out of the room.
Yeah, it's a dream.
We're not
Well,
allowed
they
in
kick
the
me
room.
out right away because
Yeah.
I try to come up with my...
Steven tells me I'm not allowed in the room until 3 p.m. because I just like hang out with him.
Yeah.
Because I used to work in the same office as him. And now he's like 3. You got to give me till 3 p.m.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of come like hang out.
Their favorite saying is time and space. Like, just give us some time and give us some space.
Yeah.
And then the interesting part, and I think Clem and yourself have sat down with some of the other team members just to get their thoughts and their ideas on what the podcast has been all about and how it's, so much changed our business, somewhat hopefully changed some of their lives, right? As well as our viewers and listeners. I found that to be just as interesting, right? To see like my partner Simeon and Tyler and Alla and Steven as well, how they go out and they kind of like wearing it a badge of honor. Like, we have a podcast that has done 50 episodes. It's syndicated right across North America, across to 175,000 listeners. And we have had some amazing guests.
Well, I would say it kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, has changed how we speak about our business. It gives us something, obviously, to talk about. But what I think we're finding is that we're putting stuff out there, not knowing who necessarily is watching it. And then when we meet with some of our clients, we haven't seen them in a year or so, and then they come up to us and say, "Oh my God, I saw that last episode of your podcast,"
really cool.
and then they want to like pick our brain on the guest we had or the topic that we covered. And I think that's really changed things because we have people actually wanting to talk to us about our business versus always going out and trying to push what we're doing on other people. So
we had a client here a couple of days ago on the weekend, Christine, and shout out to you, Christine. I know you're listening and watching. But it was amazing what happened. We spoke about 3 different types of investments, okay? Each investment has its own podcast dedicated to it. And so after we left, I think we sat down we were together here for an hour and a half or something. It was about 90 minutes was our meeting. And as she was leaving, Tyler overheard the conversation and said, "Oh, well, Jas, we have a podcast episode for that." He sent her 3 episodes.
Yeah.
She listened to them, I think, like all 3, if not 2 of them, on the way home or like the first thing when she got home that night. I think we were joking. She probably listened to it and watched one with a couple of glasses of wine.
Yeah. With the ladies,
With the 3 inspiring ladies episode. And that was amazing because it's so intertwined now. Our content that we're producing and putting out in the marketplace, our episodes,
is doing exactly what we hoped it would be, which was educate.
Lead with education. And so that's definitely the biggest change that and the biggest effect it's had on our business is that it's almost made our jobs a little bit easier, right? Because we can have a 90-minute conversation, but we don't have to record that conversation with our client, but they can, on their way home, they can listen to an episode and get even more educated, hopefully inspired to do something, or maybe just like a light bulb goes off and it's like, you know what? Maybe right now is not the time. Because a week before, so 2 weeks ago, I sat down with a young couple who came in and had purchased a condo.
Oh, I love this story. Yeah.
2 days before.
Yeah.
You guys know who you are. Okay. And as they sat in these seats, it came out that they didn't even want to, like they bought the unit 2 days before. It was conditional. And they decided not to move forward.
Which you'd think is like every realtor's nightmare.
Yes.
You'd think.
Yes.
But carry on.
That they decided, and we decided together, that it probably wasn't the best purchase for them because they got inspired by listening to the podcast, and now they're going to be getting into the world of entrepreneurship. And because they're getting in the world of entrepreneurship, the finances might not be like intact.
They want to keep a little cash liquid.
Keep a little cash liquid underneath the mattress kind of thing. And as you made mention, Laura, that most realtors would be like, "Oh my God, like that's my business and that's what I'm supposed to be doing." Yeah. I truly sat there and I had goosebumps.
Well, it's the greatest compliment I think we've ever been given.
Because we inspired someone to do something more than the 9 to 5. And I said to them, I was like, guys, like we're going to be in touch for a very long time. I hope to inspire you even more when it comes to entrepreneurship and business and leadership. And the neat thing is I still have a huge passion for real estate. We're going to make money in entrepreneurship. And you're going to use that to invest into real estate. But that might just take us 5 to 7 years. We just got to be patient. I think that's probably the other thing. Like, we say we're talking, a lot of people don't take the plunge.
Yeah.
The other big thing is just patience. It's just patience. Look, it took us a year to get to 50.
I know. And so it's funny thinking how many times in the first couple of weeks, I'd be like, we need this and we need this. And you used to just say, patience. And now looking back a year seems long. And when you're just starting, like a year from now, that's when we're going to have the proper equipment and that's when we're going to have everything. But quite frankly, not having all this, the toys and everything perfect right from the get-go was kind of part of the fun.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't agree with you more. And in terms of like patience, like I know the team would say, well, sometimes you come into the office and you want 16 things. Yeah, because when it comes to the small little micro things,
you want that to be speedy.
Speed. Like I need more content. I want it faster. I want it sooner. And Clem and Steven will be like, oh my God, but Jas, you say patience. Yeah, I say patience with the fact that we're going to have 5 other team members here. I need time to do that. I can't do that tomorrow.
And it will be fun to think maybe even a year from now when we're celebrating 100.
Yeah.
The size of our team at that time, or whatever it's going to look like.
I mean, I knock on wood because I can't wait to see that happen. Here's the truth. I can wait to see that happen.
I know. I don't want it to be there. We got to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey.
And look,
just like everything.
I'm glad that you made mention of that too, Alto, because I know 50 to some people is not a big deal. For us, it's a small W, a small win. And that's why I thought that we needed to make this a special. And, when you guys brought it to me, I was like, yes, for sure. Because we all need to celebrate the small little wins. W's because they add up and they add up. But 50 to us is a big deal because look, we some people don't make it past their 2nd or 8th episode, and we've been able to do 50.
Well, I guess I'll say kudos to you then, Jas, for bringing the idea to the table and then just getting her done.
I thank you for that, but from the bottom of my heart, it's really the team, because I think once the team is taken care of, like everyone on the REC experience team, then it's easy for everyone to want to do this. For you guys to buy into a little dream that I had and a little thought that I had, I'm getting goosebumps now because it really, really means a lot.
I think you can say we're bought in.
Yeah. I mean, the support to our family is like been second to none. Your husband doesn't get to see you a lot. My wife doesn't get to see me a lot. Clem's wife doesn't get to see him. Isla's wife, Simos' wife, like all of our significant others and family members, they don't get to see us a lot because we do a lot of work. Like we meet with a lot of buyers, sellers, investors, business partners as well. And then we have this side hustle, so to speak. It's now become not only a side hustle, but a huge passion project, just as big as anything else in our business. But again, a big thank you to you guys because you keep watching. Like if nobody was watching or listening,
it wouldn't make it worth it.
It wouldn't make it worth it, right? Like why would we even want to do it? So thank you to you guys.
Thank you. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad.
Okay, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to just simply ask you to state your name and what you do here at REC.
My name is Stephen Rochester. I am, I guess, one of the leads on our media squad. We do images, we do all things media from our podcast based, as well as any sort of projects we do in terms of videos. Me and Clem kind of take full responsibility with those.
And when did you start with REC?
I believe I started part-time in March of 2018 and full-time following April 1st.
Okay, so when you started, you weren't doing the job that you're doing now, right? You were hired to do something.
I don't remember what I was doing at that point. I think I started off doing landing pages. I wasn't sure what the job entailed because, again, we didn't know what we were doing as a whole when we first started. So I kind of jumped into everything in terms of audio, video, landing pages, Google Ads, anything on a computer. That was me at that point.
So obviously when you started, you were working with Jas and myself, and you kind of got a sense, okay, these guys are doing a podcast and they're just doing audio.
Yes.
You and I sat in the same office at that time together.
Correct.
And I presume you kind of saw that I was working on some of the technical aspects.
Yeah, to me, you were more admin, and I was kind of weirded out that you were doing
weirded out.
Yeah, weirded out was, I don't know if that's a good word, but I was a bit thrown off that you were doing all the media stuff without a media background, right? So obviously,
would you say you put your hand up a little bit?
Well, yeah, I think I jumped in and took charge of that.
Took charge of that, yeah. So, and essentially, that's kind of now become your full role. Is that you're helping with the podcast?
I would say that, yes.
Right. And what do you think about the podcast? Well, now that you've taken over, what are your thoughts?
Well, I like the direction it's going in, and I'm excited to see what happens in the next years to come. It's just a great time working with REC. It is an actual experience. I don't think I've ever worked for a company that's been this innovative and so open to new ideas. It's just a good environment. I genuinely love the people I work with, so it doesn't feel like work at all.
Unless it's time crunch.
Unless it's time crunch when we gotta get a couple numbers on the board, but that's the name of the game, and I'm all for it, right? And that's what makes this exciting because, on one hand, we do sell a lot of real estate, and those numbers kind of reflect when we get those awards, and it feels good to kind of get the accolades of it. But also the time that goes into it is the fun part. So we kind of it's all worthwhile at the end of the day.
Actually, I'm also going to make note of the fact that you helped change our branding because it used to be called, our podcast was called the Real Estate Center Audio Experience.
Yes,
and
correct.
you kind of
abbreviated
brought it to a bit of more of a modern feel. So you definitely had a
Well, I would like to say I bring the cool into REC.
Are you saying I'm not cool? Am I not cool,
Me and Laura.
Yeah,
Laura has her
that's what I think.
Matrix outfit on today, and I like it. So
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
we love having you, and you've been a great addition to the team. So
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Tyler Walbourne, and I'm the Director of Concierge Services with REC.
Can you describe for me a bit what Concierge Services
Yeah,
is?
it was a division that myself, you, Jas, and Simeon sat down and kind of found a need within our insider group. And what our Concierge Services is pretty much is helping everyone with everything but buying, selling, and investing. So if you are a purchaser, you need a local handyman, need a painter, renovator, you need help with some mortgage issues, or you have a tenant that you have some questions on or need help with due diligence, that's me and my division.
So when we sort of describe what the REC experience is, would you suggest that that's kind of what takes it from just being a regular buying, selling, and investing company to a full, we help you with everything from beginning to end?
Most certainly, for sure. Yeah. The reason why I think we implemented the concierge division was to make sure that we are a full-fledged real estate advising team. We don't just stop on buying, selling, or investing. We do the whole thing. So when you buy with us, we don't just kick you out into open water and say, go, do it yourself. We're here the whole time.
Holding your hand.
Holding your hand.
Love that. I'm going to switch gears to the podcast a little bit because you were very much a part of that when we first started.
Yeah.
I know there were.
And you guys are doing a great job, by the way.
Thank you. I know at the very beginning, you were actually going to be doing a little bit of the recording and whatnot with Jas.
Yeah.
It kind of started with you and Jas in this room on an app.
We actually started at the property show. That's where Jas pulled me, you, and Simeon over saying, guys, I really want to start this. So as Jas is very impulsive, we ended up going to Best Buy that day, grabbing our mic, which is a snowball. Is he there?
Yeah, there he is.
Grabbing the mic right here. I'm going to point to the camera and show everyone. And we sat down in a corner table right beside the popcorn machine, which we rented out. And we pretty much did our first episode.
Hey guys, today is the launch of the new Real Estate Center audio experience. My name is Jas from the Real Estate Center.
We just started kind of recording
Just
ad
started
hoc,
recording,
right?
Yeah, I remember you downloaded the editing system
editing
on the
platform
computer.
On the computer.
Yeah.
So a couple days later, when we came into the office,
Yeah.
I was sitting beside you at that time. 4 of us were in the office
Oh, yeah,
together,
yep,
right? You, me,
yep.
Steven, and
Alla.
in the office. And you saw me sitting beside you, kind of plugging away on Audacity.
Yeah.
Changing the volumes
Yeah.
and trying to get some of those high sound
But
pitches.
being a sound engineer.
Is that what they're called? Because I don't even know.
Or producer.
So what were your thoughts when you saw me being the sound engineer at that time?
I just love the passion that everyone kind of came together and did, including yourself. And it all has to start somewhere.
So
And,
non-experts at the start, just kind of making it work.
Oh, yeah.
You'd say, and then bringing people on as we kind of realized we needed. Once it
For
got
sure.
some legs underneath it,
Yeah.
then we decided, okay, maybe we actually do need someone like Steven to come in and actually,
Yeah.
someone who knows the programs to help, right?
For sure. And we needed to make sure that we did have a videographer like the beautiful Clem behind us. The audio engineer as well as the editor was Steven. And gives you guys more time to actually go out and interview great professionals as well. You guys can now create some really cool content.
So now you've seen it kind of come full circle. We have experts doing the things that they're good at. You're on the phones with our clients a lot.
Yes,
So
I
you
am.
spend most of your days on the phone talking to them.
All day,
How
every
has
day.
the podcast sort of changed your conversations with them?
It's kind of allowed myself to take a little bit of the conversation away from myself and just allowed people to digest information on their own time. So either, let's say, I'm speaking with Joe and Nancy, they're investors, and they're not sure really where to start investing, where to put their money. And we have a podcast that's titled exactly that, Where to Put Your Money.
So do you then send podcast-related information to each call specifically? Like, is it individualized?
I do. It depends. Like something specific like that, I would send them the Where Do I Put My Money episode. But when it comes to someone just wanting to know what we do, I more or less direct them to our podcast page and our YouTube channel and just let them digest which information they want and which content they want.
So I'm sure you get some people new to our database who have never actually met with us but have come now from the podcast or the REC experience pages. What are those conversations like? And how do they view the podcast and who works here?
It's definitely added a level of credibility to us, even though I believe we've always had it here. It's definitely a lot easier to show what we do. Because even when I'm sitting down with Cass, my fiance, it's hard explaining what we do, which is a full-fledged real estate advising team. It's easier with the podcast where they can actually see it. They can see the amount of people and the professionals we're talking with. And to circle back to your question, it's definitely a lot easier to speak with someone who knows who we are and what we look like and what we do.
There's anything else that you wanted to end off with? Advice, tips for either Jas, myself, the team?
In regards to the podcast, you guys are doing just a fantastic job. And credits to you both and Clem and Spencer and Steven. You guys have made it your own, which is really nice to see because I literally see you guys every day doing it and it's cool.
Awesome.
When it comes to the people that you bring on, personally, I love who we're seeing. I'd love to see maybe some people a little bit younger so we can see kind of like the millennials and how they're starting to create their business and how they're branching off on their own.
So some startups and some people just getting into either real estate or their own businesses.
Exactly, or their own businesses for sure.
Love that. That's good advice. Okay, thanks, Tyler.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me here.
You bet.
I am Spencer Maxwell, and I am the copywriter at REC.
A copywriter. So I would say a lot of people wouldn't expect a copywriter to be part of a real estate company or team. So why don't you explain a little bit about what it is that you actually do here from a copywriting perspective?
What I do is I write blog posts. I work on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and I work on the advertising aspect and worked on the team building and leadership stuff, and I just make the words look nice.
You certainly make them look a lot nicer than I used to because I used to take a lot of that on myself. So I appreciate you being here probably the most. When did you start with us?
It's been about 2.5 months, so that would be in January.
January. And how do you like your time here so far?
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I like being part of this team. It's a fun team to work for. I feel engaged working here. And yeah, it's a good time.
So I'm going to call you out a little bit. We were just speaking with Steven, and he had mentioned that when he first started, he wasn't full-time. And I'm not sure anyone knows this, but when Clem started, he also wasn't full-time. When I started with the team, I was kind of just dabbling in when they needed me. And so we've now brought you on as an intern. But I think, is my guess of everything, and my hope is that, your hope is that you see this kind of becoming a full-time thing. Correct?
I would adore that, yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah. So why don't you explain to the camera and the listeners a little bit about why you decided an internship was good for you, a good match?
Copywriting is something I always wanted to do, and I feel like real estate was something that I could research and I could do well in, and it's something that I found intriguing and a challenge, and I wanted the challenge of real estate. And I feel like I could bring my own spin and flair to it. And so far, I believe I've done that.
My name is Simeon Papailias, and I'm the managing partner at the Real Estate Center.
We're coming up on our 50th episode of the podcast. So I just wanted to take you back to about a year ago today when Jas, your partner, first told you that we were doing a podcast. What were your thoughts at that time?
Jas, you're an idiot.
Why? Did you know what a podcast was?
Of course I knew what a podcast was. And no, that wasn't my reaction. My reaction to Jas wanting to start a podcast was surrounded definitely with a lot of skepticism, with the time commitment that it could take, with the potential of attention being diverted to an effort that may not come back as we didn't know what the ROI would be, could be, or should be. So I think it was definitely something that Jas was passionate about from a perspective of elevating our brand, getting his thoughts out there, which he has many. So I think it's a really good platform for him to be able to get his thoughts out, to get our mandate out, to get our thoughts out, to get my thoughts out. But predominantly, it was a way for us to scale our education model. That was so after my initial discussion.
Yeah, I was going to say, bring us now like a few weeks forward after you've heard some of the episodes now.
Well, not even hearing the episodes, Laura, like after just hearing where he wanted to go with it, where you wanted to go with it, what your guys' opinion was of how things were going, it really quickly evolved to, well, it evolved many times in the last year as far as I'm concerned. But the quick evolution was to get our knowledge and our industry prowess, I suppose, because I hate calling us experts because nobody's an expert. You just have experience in something. And after 10 or 20 or 30,000 hours of work, I think we know a lot, and it's a lot of really good information to give to our audiences. So I think the REC Experience podcast really evolved to become an educational beacon in the real estate platform.
Your first episode that you were on was a market update. We've obviously had you on the show as like a quasi-host since then, where we've had other guests. How do you feel the podcast has progressed from that first time you were on the show to now?
I definitely feel that it is about 100 times more professional looking. Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Center Experience. This is our very first episode of our new YouTube channel, the Real Estate Center Experience. We are very fortunate and very lucky to have found the technology staff that we have, our video editors, our graphics people, our just the Jas's direction is phenomenal. You as an executive producer, I find is doing a great job lining people up and kind of creating that flow of content of how the message comes across. So I think the evolution that I've seen is significant. And I think it's, at this point, I definitely find it's top-notch programming and content.
So just to wrap it up, for the overall, what we've done for the REC Experience, is there any sort of thing that you'd like us to start doing going forward?
If the REC Experience is real estate entrepreneurship and leadership, in each one of those asset classes or sectors inside the REC Experience, I would like to know more of the drivers. So the actual key motivators in each one.
One last thing. Do you have any final message for the 50th episode?
Well, I would like to say that I'm very proud to be a part of the REC Experience. I am very proud of my partner for putting literally hundreds of hours of thought, execution into the show. I would like to thank you personally for your constant, consistent, and loyal effort into our organization. So I couldn't be prouder, and congratulations to absolutely all of us.
Hey, hey, hey!
Thank you. For the REC family.
This has been the REC Experience Podcast with Jas Takhar, an REC Canada production.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the REC Experience. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Click here to watch and experience more videos from REC.